Question 3. DS. If n is a two-digit positive integer and the tens digit and units digit are non-zero, is n less than 40? Condition 1. The sum of the units digit and the tens digit of n is 4. Condition 2. The sum of the units digit and the tens digit of n is equal to the product of the units digit and the tens digit of n. Solution. Now we will solve this DS question using the variable approach. Common mistake type 4B. If you get A or B as an answer too easily, then consider D. CMT4B tells us that if the answer A or B is arrived at too quickly after counting variables and equations, consider D as an answer. So, be careful in the key questions, which deal with integers, statistics, probability, inequality, and absolute value. If you do not apply the CMTs with the variable approach, you are likely to fall in a trap and get the wrong answer. CMT4B is hard to spot on the actual exam. That's why you should keep in mind that the most likely answer is D if there is a mixture of integers and statistics, and one condition is easy. Let's apply the 3 steps suggested previously. Follow the first step of the variable approach by modifying and rechecking the original condition and the question. We have to find out whether n is less than 40, if n is a two-digit positive integer, and the tens digit and units digit are non-zero. The original condition can be modified to n equals 10 times a plus b, where a and b are the digits and n is a times b. Let's look at the information from the question prompt or the original condition. This is an integer question, and therefore one of the key questions. We need to pay attention to CMT 3 and 4 in key questions. Also, the answer to this question will be in terms of a yes or no, and therefore, we apply CMT 1 to this question. When we look at the 2 conditions, we find one of the 2 is easy, and the other is more complicated. Follow the second and third steps. From the original condition, we have 3 variables, a, b, and n, and one equation, n equals 10 times a plus b. To match the number of variables with the number of equations, we need 2 more equations. Since conditions 1 and 2 will provide one equation each, C would most likely be the answer. Recall 3 principles. Choose C as the most likely answer. Let's take a look at both conditions together. They tell us that a plus b equals 4, and a plus b equals a times b. Substituting 4 in for a plus b in the second equation gives us 4 equals a times b, or a equals b equals 2. Thus, a times b equals 22, which is less than 40. We get yes as an answer. Since the answer is unique, both conditions combined are sufficient according to CMT1, which means that the answer will be in terms of a unique yes or no. Thus, C seems to be the answer, according to the variable approach. However, since this question is an integer question, which is also one of the key questions, we should apply CMT4A, which states if you get to C as an answer too easily, then consider A or B as an answer. So, we have to consider each condition separately. Condition 1 tells us that the sum of the units digit and the tens digit of n is 4. That is, a plus b equals 4. The different possibilities are 13, 31, and 22, as both a and b are non-zero. N will be less than 40 in each case, so we get yes. And the condition is sufficient by CMT1, which states that the answer will be in terms of a unique yes or no. Now, condition 1 seems pretty easy. so we should look for CMT4B, which tells us that there is a greater probability that D is the answer. Therefore, let's look at condition 2. Condition 2 tells us that the sum of the units digit and the tens digit of n is equal to the product of the units digit and the tens digit of n. The way to solve this equation would be a plus b equals a times b, which can be rearranged to get a times b minus b equals 0. Adding 1 to both sides, we get a times b minus b plus 1 equals 1. Factoring a out of the first two terms and negative 1 out of the second two terms, we get a times b minus 1 minus 1 times b minus 1 equals 1, or a minus 1 times b minus 1 equals 1. This is possible only when both a and b are 0, or when both a and b are 2. The only possibility is 22, and since the answer is unique, the condition is sufficient according to CMT1, which means that the answer will be in terms of a unique yes or no. This is the standard approach for applying CMT4B based on the variable approach. If the question has both C and D as its answer, then D is the answer rather than C by the definition of DS questions. Each condition alone is sufficient, so D is the correct answer. Answer: D.